Gary Mack standing by, and Gary Mack knows something of starting a new gubernatorial administration. Good morning, Gary. How are you?
Good morning, Steve. By the way, there's a rumor going on in Springfield here that Prince is going to be a special guest performance at the inauguration.
Yeah, you know what? The idea that Toby Keith and Buddy Guy are together is enough to give you a whiplash.
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to hang around for that one or not, but the ceremony itself will be interesting. You know, I was thinking there's, I think, only one elected official here in Springfield who was here back when I worked for Governor Edgar when he was first elected in 1990. Guess who that might be?
Since 1990. Would it be Quinn?
That could be Mike Madigan.
Oh, Madigan, of course.
Quinn will be gone by then, you know. He'll be the outgoing governor. But I think, and that tells you something about what this whole scenario is about, doesn't it? With the time that Mike Madigan has been in office here.
Yeah, and in 1990 he had just celebrated his 50th anniversary. So
that's right. You weren't even born then.
No, come on. So here's my question. When it's 1990, it's 2015. When you start this off as a group, as an administration, it's a small company. Do you have any idea what's possible at that point, or is it a lot of get in there and see what we can do?
Boy, there's a lot of who's on first stuff going on. And, we were in a state office already. We were in the Secretary of State office. My office just moved across the hall to a different place, basically. But it's tough. There's a lot of things you have to deal with, and Browner's got a lot of people coming in who have never been in government before. That's good to a large extent, I think, because you have a fresh perspective on the whole thing. But it is definitely something that is a learning curve of mammoth proportions for everybody to get up to. And then you couple that, Steve, with the fact that he's got so much work to do so quickly, it is truly a daunting task.
The speech he'll make today is probably not as important as the budget address he'll make, but obviously it'll make news. What do you expect him to hear, and what should he say? Or what do you expect us to hear, and what should he say?
I think he's got to talk about cooperation. I think he's also got to talk about listening to people as well, and being somebody who, is not just going to be giving lip service to things. I hope there are a couple of specifics that we hear other than vision, but, he does have a month until February 18th before that budget address comes together. And I would suggest, I guess, that the governor-elect really has got to make the most of this first month, and he's got to make sure that he gets off on a good foot, notwithstanding that little incident that happened with Madigan on electing a controller in 2 years. But he has got to make sure that he does articulate a strong vision with a few specifics in there. I sure hope he does that.
Madigan didn't have to push that as hard as he did. Was that a message pitch, or is that a true believer?
I think it was a message pitch more than anything, but for some reason I had it in my mind also that I think Madigan might have been giving Quinn a farewell present because Quinn wanted that. And, that could be part of the whole deal, too. I'll tell you one other thing I think is really important, because, my forte was communications for Governor Edgar. And I think one thing that, you talked a little bit about today and other people have is how politicians today control the message and control what gets done. I think it would behoove Bruce Rauner a great deal if he would go back to the philosophy of talking to the media more regularly, of trying to make sure that his message directly went to them and that he didn't let his handlers and controllers control the message and restrict access to him, because I really believe the guy's a great salesman. He made all that money to a large extent by being pretty smart in business, and he is a good salesman. And I think he can talk to the media, talk to reporters, and get his message out there. So I guess that would be, from my limited perspective of things, where I would suggest he go, and that is to make himself available.
Yeah, well, it's not limited at all. I mean, you were in the job. You were the communications director for the governor, and at Mack Communications, I mean, it's all about connecting with people. I can tell you right now, and this is just not just because, I have a concern about it, or Sapelsa or anybody else. If he becomes that guy, if he becomes the shutdown guy that Rahm Emanuel has become in the city, I firmly believe part of the problem with Rahm Emanuel, who also has the ability to be a good communicator, is the fact that he doesn't talk to anybody. And all it does is create what you're talking about. It creates this notion of why are you controlling the message as opposed to giving us the message.
Amen. And what you're doing. And then it also creates another thing. What are you trying to hide?
Yeah.
So get out there and talk to these guys. Get to know them. I really think that he has political capital right now. That's great that he could have. Get some relationships going with guys like Rick Pearson, who you talk to all the time, with some of the political reporters on TV and the other print guys across the state. And I think that'll go a long way toward helping him sell his message. But don't let surrogates, try to say things for you and try to get out there and do it.
Yeah, we have an open door policy here when it comes to the governor. That seems right. And I think most of the news outlets in town do as well. So if the governor wants to appear on the show with about 99% accuracy I can state, he's going to be on the show. So
you may recall, Steve, that back in the Edgar days too, we made a habit of that with Bob and Spike and other guys in town as well. Don and Roma and everybody else who was in the business at the time, right?
Yeah, and the thing is, especially with this place. I mean, this place is such a monster, and because of the loyalty of this audience has been so supportive. The governor would make a mistake not to be here, because you have more time to talk here than you do in a sit down on TV that's going to be cut to 2 or 3 minutes. But clearly, Gary, you and I are smarter than most people.
I know. That's why we are where we are, right? Get your golf game together and you'll be better.
MackCommunications.com. Appreciate the perspective. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks a lot.